SNIDE by David Scott. Alfie stepped into the ring. He raised the glove to his chin, imitating the adjustment of his protective headgear, then spat his mouthguard into his mitt, holding it tight and out of sight. Walking towards the sprightly young lad facing him, his arms hung loosely by his sides. On the surface, Alfie was much fitter, much stronger. Had the two met anywhere outside of Frank's gym at any other time, it might have been a contest. But it wasn't any other time. It was now. And who Alfie had been before was nothing but a fragment. The man who once cared about winning, about proving himself, was long gone. Now Alfie was chasing something different. Pain. The kind of pain that made everything else fade into the background. As he stepped closer to the opponent, the kid's confidence faltered. He could sense that something was off by Alfie's stance. His expression was blank. He stared through the kid. As the bell rang, he didn't lift his hands to defend himself, just raised his gloves as invitation. The sentiment echoed by those the other side of the ropes, egging on the kid to get at him. Alfie repeated the motion, daring the kid to hit him first, to break through whatever was left of who he used to be. And then the punches came. Each hit, sharp and brutal, landed like the punishment Alfie had imagined laying on himself. The snap in his ribs, the crack of his jaw, the dizzying blur of his vision, everything that he had craved. The physical blows matched the ones that he'd carried inside. With every blow, he felt the release of what he'd never been able to express. The kid was nothing but a courier, delivering the pain from a fight that started long ago inside Alfie's head. Every punch was a reckoning. This young kid, unaware that he was serving a physical manifestation of an emotional beating Alfie had long been inflicting himself for years. With the pain came relief, and with relief, his body gave way to the beating. Frank screamed from the corner as Alfie's legs gave way. "What the fucking hell are you doing?" As Alfie crumpled to the floor, a montage of the times he tried to get this close before flew through his mind. The slow walks across a dual carriageway, hoping someone absent-minded driver wouldn't notice and clip him down. The dark alleys he'd taken home, praying someone would mug him. The looks he'd give strangers in a bar, willing for them to kick off. The nights he'd sat alone, staring at the coffee table and not finding the strength to take more than the proper dose of tablets that lay in front of him. He couldn't do it. He couldn't put his life onto someone else. And even when fate was in his own hands, the thought of hurting others in the aftermath was enough to prevent him from taking that final step. So now he lived for the sole purpose of not causing pain to another soul. His existence felt like a charity act. Frank dived into the ring and, despite his years, dragged Alfie's body into the corner. The kid so apologetic and mortified at the damage that his fists had done. "What the hell are you doing, Alfie?" Frank screamed for everyone to leave the gym. Alfie sat limp on his stool as the adrenaline made way to pain. His face throbbed. Blood dripped from his nose onto his bust lip. Frank knelt in furious concern, trying to gain his attention from his eyes. He slapped him roughly around the back of the head. With a low tremble, he let rip with more force than the fist that had knocked Alfie out moments before. "What are you trying to prove, Alfie?" Frank's words barely made their way through the ringing in his ears. He shook his head to either side, trying to regain the consciousness he was so desperate to lose. "I've nothing to live for anymore. Nothing. No one." Frank had known Alfie for years, watched him grow from a cocky gobshite to a man of talent and determination. It was a young lad that had so much promise, a teenager that said he was going to get away from here, and everyone that knew him took pride in his ambition and looked on as his life soared. Whatever it was that fueled him then had exhausted in the carcass that was knelt in front of him. Everyone. Gone. Nothing. "You're talking shite, you could have got killed." Maybe it would have been for the best. And that's fair, is it? Ruining someone else's life because you won't fight your own battles? You're better than this, Alf. The fear in Frank's voice softened as he sat on the canvas, his back resting against the ropes. You think this is the first time I've seen this? You think you're the only person to walk into my gym on some mindless pursuit for pain? It doesn't work. You can't kill the pain by becoming a punching bag. The gym fell silent. A faint creak of the gym equipment settling in was all that could be heard. Alfie blinked, heavily rotating his jaw. Every word Frank said was just protested away. You think you're the only one to know her? You think you're the only person? You think I don't have to fight? I'm not a boxer, Frank. I'm not talking about being a boxer, Alfie. 99% of the people that have ever walked through these doors aren't boxers. I stopped boxing over 30 years ago now, but do you think I don't have to fight? She's been dead 15 years. Every single day I have to battle to get dressed. Every single day. I have to walk through a house that's haunted by her ghost, and I have to get on. Listen to me, this isn't it. No matter how many punches you take, it will not stop the pain within. You are doing it to yourself. No. They've done it. No, now you listen to me. I don't give a shit if it's a friend, a woman, a job, whatever. None of them are here now, and I can see the pain in your eyes, but I can't see any of them. Where are they right now? You're alone, and nobody but you is causing the pain, but you have to fight it, Alfie. You fucking fight. I can't fight anymore, Frank. Frank stared ahead, his jaw clenched, the weight of Alfie's words pressing down on him. He'd seen boxers broke before, but this was different. Alfie wasn't just broken, he was lost. Everything that I do, it just ends up worse and no one's helping. Why do you give a shit? Because you're fighting the wrong thing. You think it's out there. Frank firmly points his finger against Alfie's temple so hard it moves his head backwards. It's in there. That's your opponent. Nobody else is causing you the pain, Alfie. You are doing it to yourself. Frank's voice hardened again. I give a shit because I've been where you are. Worse, I didn't even go to the ring. I opened up the cabinet, and let me tell you, once you go down that, you can't keep chasing the pain, Alfie, and thinking it'll go away. It doesn't work like that. You have to fight it. I can't fight it, Frank. I can't fucking fight it. Spit and blood flew out from Alfie's mouth. He hadn't cried in so long. Everything that life had thrown at him at that point, he had refused to bow to his deepest emotions and used every hurdle as a bolt to cage what was within. Now he couldn't hold the tears back and fell onto Frank's shoulders, screaming in agony from an invisible wound. You're not alone, Alfie. I'm alone. You're not. Frank tightened his arms around his head, wanted to squeeze the pain from his paws, but he knew it was an impossible task. All he could do was listen to the words that Alfie let out, words that he'd never said that had tormented him from the inside out. For 20 minutes, Alfie confessed to Frank how his life had spiralled out of control, how useless he felt, how much of a failure he had become, the loves that he had lost. Frank leaned in closer, his voice softer now, almost pleading for him to see sense. Listen to me, Alfie, and you need to listen to this and take it in. I sympathise with you, but part of this is you thinking you are centre of the world. That life is just happening to you. Every single person you pass on the street, everyone at work, everyone you date, every friend you've ever had is fighting. Alfie shook his head dismissively. They are. Some rounds are easier than others, but everyone, and I mean everyone, is facing their demons, and nobody comes out as heavyweight champion. Every day, different round. Every round, you have to find a different way to get through. Life doesn't know how to pull a punch. You think the pain in your head is real. It isn't. You have to look through it. All right, and how am I supposed to do that? By listening for a start. Alpha, when all the piss is boiled down, everything around you is merely a knockoff imitation of your expectations. It's a diluted version of what you thought it would be, with nothing living up to the dreams you carry in your head. Lovers will leave, parents will fall short as theirs did them, children won't become what you envisioned, and friends will turn into strangers. The people who surround you will never fully meet to the ideals that you've set for them, leaving you with a lingering sense of disappointment and pain. In the end, you will leave as you came, alone, haunted by the realization that you accepted things for what they are rather than what they could have been, because you're lost in a sadness of your own creation. Reality always falls short. Life is inherently snide, but that doesn't mean that you don't fight it. You fight. And you are not and never have been alone. Frank stood up, offering Alfie his hand. It felt heavy, weighted with the implications of the choice he had to make. He could just sit here, stay in this dark place that he'd built for himself, or maybe he could stand again. The older man pulled him to his feet. The pair of them stood there, the echo of their breaths the only sound. Alfie, battered, bruised, felt something inside him that wasn't just pain. It wasn't much, but it was a difference within. For the first time in a long time, he hoped it'd be enough.